Sony Xperia 1V vs Galaxy S23 Ultra Speed Test, Speakers, Battery and Camera Test. Slam! Alright guys, so amazing battle we have. The best Sony. First the best Samsung. So let's go right to it. 1. Boot up. Now this is the most hype I've ever seen. For an Xperia. They've done everything right with this phone, and I'll discuss why in a few. While the Galaxy of course as well. Established and excellent phone. Now for the first, let's boot up. We have advantage for the Sony. And now the Samsung. 2. Specs. Archives not for the specs. The Samsung has a larger display. But the Sony's 4K. And both were 120 Hz. Now on the front both cameras are the same number of pixels. And on the back we have a triple versus quad camera setup. The Samsung is an extra option for storage. But the Sony supports microSD. While phones are the same size batteries. And they also have the same chipsets. But some versions of the Samsung have West RAM. Both phones are water resistant. Now at the bottom both I wanted Type-C. And believe it or not, the Sony is a headphone jack. And on the back we have glass versus both one support 5G. Now the Samsung is less expensive. But if you want the version with more RAM, then they're pretty similar. The Samsung also has. Alright guys, let's get to it. 3. Apps and games. Alright guys, get into it. So first you have YouTube. Pretty similar. eBay. Sweet advanced for the Sony. Instagram. Again pretty close there. Amazon. Spiders for the Sony. And MySpace, a gap for your photos. Alright. So just a minor advantage for the basic apps for the Sony. But now for gaming. Oh. Sony. Call Duty. Sony. Against an Impact. Against Sony. Super Mario. This one is a Samsung. Animal Crossing. Samsung. Temper Until. And it's working like advantage. Party Sony. Yep, Sony takes it. Real Racing. Again the Sony. And now for the beginning of Fortnite. In advance for the Sony. So besides the two Nintendo games, the Sony takes all the gaming. Alright, so next we have Geekbench, which will run shortly. And now for Chrome. 4. Chrome. And as always we'll record the weapon sharing. Alright, so firstly about Johnny. Pretty close there. IMDb. Sony.com. Ironically, the Samsung. And massive Samsung. And that one is ironically the Sony. So overall, 2-2. 5. Speakers. Hi, no copyright music. Now for the speakers. Now both on the door speakers and the Sony is our front pacing. And Samsung. And back to Sony. Oh, okay, so both excellent quality, but I would say advanced for the Sony. But as always guys, tell me a preference. 6. Battery life. Nexia batteries. Go and record both of these at 1080p. 60 frames per second. Okay, so been a bit over an hour. No heating issues, which last year's one. More forehead. And about the same 1%. Advantage for the Sony, but yeah, pretty similar. Makes sense since they have the same size battery. 7. Fingerprint scanners. Now, for the fingerprints. So for the Sony it's here on the side. And it's also the power. While for the Samsung it's in display. Yeah, so the speed is pretty similar. But I do prefer to Sony because it's more accurate. But the Samsung is more futuristic. But yeah, tell me which is your preference. 8. Multitasking and Geekbench. Alright, so Napa RAM. So going into Instagram. A bit faster for the Sony, but both hold. PUBG. Both hold it. Call of Duty. Excellent. Amazon. Again, very nice job. Super Mario. Both hold it. Photos again a bit faster for the Sony. But both hold it, which is the most important thing. Now all the way back to start with. YouTube. Once again both hold. Okay, so Genshin is a restart for the Sony, the first restart. Real Racing both hold it. And what's the one final one let's do? Would have Fortnite. Yes, overall, the Sony a bit more responsive. But it did have the one restart. And Apple Geekbench. Alright, so the Samsung is for the single, but the Sony for the multi. But yeah, both very similar scores. 9. Camera speed. Now for the camera speed. A bit faster for the Sony. 10. Front cameras. Now I've heard a bunch of demos. And the same position. Now for the rear cameras. 11. Rear cameras. And the same position. We also have the wide. And once again, the stabilization. Good. And we also have the maximum. 12. Winner. Alright guys, so tell me in the comments below which one won. Now both of these are X1 phones, but I think the Sony won most of tests, and that's not even including stuff like the headphone jack, micro SD card support, the 4K display. I mean, really the main reason I'd recommend the S23s is 40S Pen. But that aside, it would recommend the Sony. But hey guys, some of your preference. Thanks for watching, subscribe for more. And I'll see you next video. Bye.